So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another excitement adventure on Zoom. I'm just happy to have you all and see all your smiling faces on this cold Saturday afternoon. Again, my name is Stream Burrows. I'm the board chair of Philadelphia Family Pride, and I welcome you to another exciting year. And again, just I can't say it enough that it's just so happy to see that you're all still here and with us and tuning in and being a part of our community and our family. Before I go any further, I just want to give a few acknowledgments. It's that this has been a trying, I would say, past year, but also past few days with everything that has been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement that PFP was a part of this past year and still a part of and will continue to be a part of because Black lives do matter. With dealing with the political climate that we are currently in and the most recent insurrection that has happened at our Capitol, it's that, again, why I stress that it's so important and just so fills my heart to kind of see you all here. And also, as we all continue to cope with this pandemic, but there is some ray of hope that the vaccinations are going out and incoming President Biden has just released even more vaccinations out. So that's really great. But I also want to give acknowledgement to the land that we just are on and for the land opinion that we are all kind of just, we're really sitting on the land right now because we're mostly home all the time. So I also want to give acknowledgement to that. And the way that this is going to go for the next hour is just that we have a few things that are lined up. We're going to have an amazing slideshow that's prepared by Stephanie of all the awesomeness that we have done in 2020 and some of the things that we are looking forward to for 2021. And even before I continue with that, is just giving Stephanie a shout out for being able to pivot so quickly in such a crazy time that we were in last year. And so kudos to that, Stephanie. After that, we'll have a bit of a feedback session and to share, and then we're going to have our board elections that we normally have. Generally, this meeting does take place in person, and hopefully in 2022, we can actually be in person to have this next Winter Wonderland meeting. And with that, again, I just want to say welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Stephanie.
Great, thanks so much, Tareem. And see my winter background. I'm not actually outside, as you probably can guess.
You're not skiing in the Alps right now?
I'm not, no.
Okay. Or Poconos.
Thanks, Tareem, and thanks for the thanks. And I'm really happy to see all the faces in front of me here. A couple of just logistical things for the Zoom today. So we have Christy Morgan, who's joining us from Typewell, who's doing the closed captioning. So if you would like to see the closed captioning, she put that in the chat, but you can go to show subtitles on the closed caption or more menu. So it's either the closed caption menu or maybe the more menu. And then if you're looking, if you're on your phone, and when I'm about to share my screen, you can like drag the speaker's face if my face is over something that you want to see. And then of course, if you're on your computer, you can do gallery view. I think everybody knows that, but I just thought I would, as a reminder. I think most folks already did this, but if you haven't already included your pronouns in your name tag for your window, you can do that under participants, and you hover over your name and hit rename just to include that. So I think that's all of the sort of little details to go over for Zoom stuff. And now I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at 2020. How did it go? Present. All right, cool. So here's our little graphic. Tareem already went over what our agenda is for today, so I'll go ahead and get into the details here. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but we will have a little time for questions if folks want to ask a little bit about, what we did this past 2020. For a couple months, we had in-person events. So we had our Winter Wonderland party. We went to the aquarium. We had a meetup at a bookstore. The middle photo is one of our intergenerational meetups at the John C. Anderson Apartments, which we were really just getting going and just starting to get more and more folks attending when it became clear that that wasn't a good idea anymore. safety-wise. And then the photo on the right was actually March 1st at our vice chair's house, Jadzia in West Philly, a potluck that they held. We had lots of other events, as you can see, but those are kind of the highlights. The other in-person but outdoor event that Tareem mentioned was the Philly Queer March for Black Lives on the Ben Franklin Parkway on June 21st. And Tareem and Greg, who are both on today's call, were instrumental in the leadership of putting that event together. So I want to recognize that that was an important moment for our country, our community, and our city this past year. So we also held a lot of virtual events, as you might imagine, as I hope you know, including 10 virtual drag queen story times. We held, our first one was with Martha Graham Cracker, which was part sing along and part book reading story time. Icon Ebony Fierce there in the middle with the Angel City book. They always have awesome book selections and did some really great story times for us. And then, of course, Brittany Lynn, who was also at our conference in 2019, doing book readings, including a book she wrote, puppet shows, sing-alongs, etc. And all of those videos are on our Facebook page if folks want to peruse them in the future. I was actually a little surprised when I counted it up. We held 25 other virtual events in addition to the drag queen story times, and this doesn't include the conference. So online parent parties, you know, some parenting sessions on like Ask a Therapist questions. We did a book reading with Rashad Davis, this pictured there. Since the conference in November and December, we held several workshops as well for sessions that had been proposed for the conference, and we weren't able to accommodate them for that event, but then held them later. And again, many videos on our Facebook page. 2020 wouldn't be complete without talking about the Fulton versus City of Philadelphia case. So for folks who probably have heard of the Catholic Social Services case, that's this one. I'm not going to go into details now about it, but Philly Family Pride is an intervener on the case, along with the Support Center for Child Care Advocates. And both of us are represented by the attorneys from the ACLU. The case was argued in 2020 in November in front of the US Supreme Court over the phone. And then a decision in the case is expected this year in 2021, I think as late as June, as they can announce it. There's more on our website, of course, about that as well. All right, we had our conference and we called it our PFP conference at home. So we had a virtual conference this year, and the theme was the power of many voices. And thanks to Jadzia for this awesome graphic that she designed for it. We had 90 households register. We had our most ever sponsors at 48. We gave away 78 kids' books to families who registered, and we presented 12 workshops and panels. And we really did our best to address the moments that we are and we're living in. So sessions addressed racial justice, the pandemic, and also the political climate. So we were really trying to not shy away from that and just do our same old conference online, but actually address the moments we're living in. And you can see some of the sessions that we held, and I'll just read some of the comments that we got back in the evals, that the event far exceeded my expectations, really enlightening and powerful, profoundly impactful, informative, and also personal, and also so personal. And, you know, lots of comments along the lines of, we're really glad you held this event again this year. So that was the conference. And actually, let me go back for a second, because I will say that we did, of the sessions that we recorded, those are posted on our Facebook page under videos. So if you did miss the conference for, I'm sure, plenty of good reasons that people weren't able to attend, there are several videos, including, I would actually highlight the keynote conversation, which is this in the upper left with Naomi, who's here today. Thank you. The Resistance is Not a Spectator Sport session, which was a very powerful session and is also, like I said, on our Facebook page. All right, I'm going to just briefly talk about our financial stuff. So just want to be transparent with folks about our finances. And we are putting together we'll call it an annual report, but it's going to be rather, a thin little document that goes over our year. And some annual reports I get in the mail are like this thick. It's not going to be like that, but we're going to do a thin annual report, including this information. So this is from our bookkeeper, who thanks to them for really rushing this and getting it to me so that we could do the whole year for this. So our biggest income piece of the pie was our conference sponsorships at just under $22,000. Our membership dues, you can see 3404. If you're on your phone, you can pinch in and like zoom in on this if it's hard to see. Anyway, I'm not going to read all of this, but you can kind of go through and see that the biggest piece was our conference sponsorships, followed by our membership dues and conference registration fees. We also had a grant from the Delaware Valley Legacy Fund last year for $2,500, which is very appreciated. And then our expenses. So this, I would say our income was similar to a non-pandemic year, but our expenses were very different. So we didn't hold a lot of events in person. So we didn't have a lot of the expenses that would be associated with an event in person, such as food and renting a space, et cetera. So our biggest piece of the expense pie, so this is on the left, is my salary, the staff salary. Our conference expenses and administrative and programming were the other big pieces. And then on the right, I just broke down the administrative pieces so people could see, well, what is that 20% of the expenses or admin? A chunk of that is actually to pay our bookkeeper. So we want to have, professional kept books. And then also our websites. So we have both our Philly Family Pride website and our PFP conference website. Zoom was a new expense for us, having a Zoom account, and then a couple of just little miscellaneous ones. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to stop sharing and open it up for questions and to see if folks had any question. Oh, and thank you, Naomi. I'm just looking at the chat now. The task force released a video of the conversation about the Fulton case. So we'll also post that on our website for folks to see. So any questions, any thoughts or feelings or questions about 2020, anything I talked about? And I can put the slides back up if there's a slide folks have questions about.
I just not a question, but just a kudos to PFP for hanging in there, for trying to stay connected to the pulse of what's going on. I mean, organizations had a couple of different responses, right? They could ignore the year that was 2020 and try to proceed as usual, or adjust and adapt. And I think I just want to share kudos to you, Stephanie, for your leadership, and to everybody for making sure the PFP could be nimble and adapt and still stay within mission, right? We didn't creep to the other side of the river, but we but we were able to adapt. So
thanks. Yeah. And I definitely share that. I take the kudos, thank you, and then I'll just share it out to the rest of the board and the leadership of the board because I certainly didn't do all this by myself. So. Well, I think we can, if folks want to jump in with a question or a comment, that's fine. We can do that. I'm going to actually turn it over to Jadzia, and she is going to get some feedback from folks on what we want to do for 2021. And, understandably, some feedback for 2020 or like comments about what we did in 2020, we want to do that again this year, et cetera, may come up. So I'll turn it over to Jadzia for the next little bit.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? If you don't know, I am the co-chair of PFP, and I'm very happy to see you all, everyone who's here. I'm going to change my view so I'm not staring at my own face. Oh, there we go. Here's everybody else. Much better. Oh, look at y'all. Let's talk about what we want to do next year. Number one, parenting classes. What kind of parenting classes do we want to see? Does anyone have ideas or saw a parenting class they attended in the past year that worked really well? Just to start off. I know we had a couple. There was one. Now I'm blanking, so I don't blame you guys for not saying anything. But I know we had one about talking to your kids about what was going on this summer. That was really helpful. I think something along those lines would be really good again, because it's not like we've solved all racial justice problems. So continuing to have that conversation and how to deal with it is really good. And I would like to see more of that. What else do people think?
Jadzia, Tareem put a good question in the chat. Do you want us calling out or putting it in the chat, or?
By all means, unmute yourself and this is more of a guided conversation than it is me leading things. I guess I should have said that at the beginning. So by all means.
Naomi raised her hands.
Great, let's hear it.
I was just going to say, I really appreciated the blended families session that we had at the last in-person PFP conference. And so a session on that during the year, I think would be cool for someone like me who, you know, our family is queer and blended. And so particularly support for the one coming into the blend, or the one doing the blend. I don't know how you say that, but the new person to the family, the new parent to the family. I would really love to get together with other folks who are in that position and sort of talk about ways to do that well.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Have that. Any other ideas? Yeah, Katie.
I would love one around homeschooling or unschooling. Because although some people might think this looks really similarly to how you might homeschool or unschool if like not during a pandemic, I feel certain that some of the dysfunction of what's going on right now is a symptom of not having the resources we normally would. And being able to connect with other homeschooling families and be less isolated in that process.
That's a great idea. Yeah, definitely homeschooling. Absolutely.
I'd like to see us consider a class that's sort of like interracial families 102 or 201. For our adoption process, our second one, we had to go through this very basic transracial adoption class that really acted like you knew nothing about race and like didn't have any coping strategies or actually how to have the conversations. It was a complete waste of our time. And I'd rather interact with folks and like talk about like, well, how do I have these conversations with my kid? What sort of things can I do? So something along those lines would be really appreciated. Yeah,
that's really good. I think having both like the introduction stuff for people and also this like, we've done the introduction stuff, now the what we do would be really helpful. Absolutely.
Question for both Adam and Naomi, thinking about both of those things. Would you rather have like a one-time workshop, or would you be interested in, since I'm in both those groups, would you be interested in like, I don't know, like second Sunday of the month coffee with the same group of people for 3 months or 6 months or something, well, that's sort of organized?
That leads us into something else that I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Gina, for that segue. One thing that happened over the conference was we held a gathering of trans parents, and that was very popular and well received. And there was discussion about continuing to have a regular transparent gathering once a month. Do that, and I think that's a great idea. The holidays kept us from doing it, but moving into the year, I think we're going to be doing more of that. And I would also like to see, I think that other groups would benefit from having, as you said, like a blended family kind of virtual meetup, people with interracial adoption meetup, and that sort of thing. So what sort of subgroups, I guess, is what I'm asking within our own identities would be good to have these sort of regular virtual meetups to just talk about things. obviously we have interracial families and we have blended families. This is really great. Who else should be in there? What kind of gathering would you like to see that encompasses a part of your identity that you aren't getting in touch with other people who share it?
I think Katie put some things in the chat.
Oh, great. She didn't want to talk while eating. I get it. Prospective parents. I think you meant prospective parents, but I like the idea of parents with perspective.
I did mean.
Because I would love to talk to a prospective parent, because I've lost all of my perspective, and I would like.
I'd like both, please. I know some other prospective parents who would like more workshops or group meetups.
I would love to talk to someone about having a tween, or like a, preteen going on 40. Be helpful.
Going on 5, going on 40, going on 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing the age, because we used to have those by age potlucks, which were so great, and now obviously not potlucking, but yeah, to gather by age, I think is age of child is really good.
And just to clarify, because I'm taking notes, Zach, do you mean for the parents of kids that age, or for the kids, or for both?
I had been thinking about for the parent, but it would probably be good for the kid as well. Especially if the kid one were like arranged around an online game or something, rather than just talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing some events just for kids is not a bad idea either.
I'd like a Minecraft club for my child. Where I could put them on Zoom with other kids from queer families and on Minecraft dungeons where they can all be on a shared realm, and I can go away. I mean, not like far away. Yes.
No, really far away.
Really far away.
Where are you going, Gina?
The living room.
You'd also talk, Stephanie, about a Lego club that might be fun.
Yes.
There's a thing that's happening on Instagram, at least now, that's called like a Lego daily build, where the challenge is to build something out of Legos each day of the year with the number of Legos. Like the first day of the year, you just do one Lego. I don't know if they did one Lego, but like the third day of the year, you do something that has 3 Legos. And then like the 20th day of the year, it's 20 Legos into a creation. So we could jump on that bandwagon.
Naomi suggested reading together. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, a reading club.
I'm only half joking.
Well, maybe a club. A book club that they could talk about what they're reading.
Yeah, might not be a bad idea, both for kids and parents. Like I could see a book club being something. I know I find I have trouble currently in the pandemic actually sitting down to read, but perhaps if I had a deadline, it might be a little easier to force myself to make that time. So and that could be either, and we could look at it whether we wanted to do something serious and be like, here is a nonfiction book about what's going on in these times that's very important. Or we can be like, and here's our fluff book club where we all read our fluff and enjoy our fluff together in a fluff sort of way. Both of those are excellent options. And there's no reason we can't do both and have 2 separate book clubs if we wanted to go that route. I guess it all depends on who wants to be a part of what.
I feel like I've already spoken several times if anyone else wants to jump in. But what if some of these were formatted where you join the same Zoom meeting as a family, where the families all see each other, and you do maybe like, I don't know, like 5 minutes together, and then the kids break away for something, whether it's reading off screen or going into a Minecraft realm or doing a Lego challenge in which they come back and show what they built. And the adults then get a time to connect with each other. And then the kids are doing their thing. They could be the same length or separate, depending on what it is. I mean, I know my kid, once he's in a Minecraft realm, he could spend hours. And as much as I love you all, I'm not going to spend. It's not. I don't have the same stamina for Zooming.
We could have coffee and like decide what 3 chapters of our shared book we're all going to get through, and then like quietly read them off screen, come back and have a 2-hour conversation about it, and they'd still be playing.
You know, I think we can arrange this, Gina.
I'm in for that, Katie. As long as it has to be a book I have to read, I want to read, like My Grandmother's Hands, the book about healing racial trauma, or like something like I really need to read. That's the like make me read it.
I did a cooking class online through the library with like just like a easy cooking thing, and that was something that was really engaging, where like you were at a screen but you were doing something and everyone was following along, and it was probably, in my opinion, like the most successful online activity that I participated in, where I felt like I was actually doing, other than things where I've learned things, like attended programs, like it was the most engaging, interactive thing that I've done probably during the pandemic.
I felt that way about the PFP game night when we played Quiplash. That was like the only fun thing I've done over Zoom in a year. So I would love to do that again.
Yes, let's do that again. I have it. I bought it. Let's go.
I'm in also. I love that stuff.
I bought it too, and we did it for the 9-year-old's Zoom birthday party, and only afterwards did I learn that there was a family-friendly setting.
Yes.
Okay, this is great. This is a really great start. I think I think we need to move on in our agenda so that we get through everything. But thank you so much for all these ideas, and I've gotten them written down. If folks have other ideas, please email me or Jadzia. All the board members' email addresses, and the new board members will get them. Spoiler alert, is your first name at Philly Family Pride. So thank you for that. And so now I'm going to go back to sharing my screen and present. All right, so Tareem, take it away.
So, again, as Stephanie said, thank you so much. Love the energy and the generation of these ideas. So as we continue to move forward in PFP for this year, so we have so many like great ideas that we can really build off of, so we can continue to be together as a community, even if it's in a virtual. It's still going to be in a virtual realm for a little bit, but we're still staying together. And that's important. This next section, I just really want to, Stephanie and I, we really want to acknowledge to the people that will be leaving our board. And so we're going to start with April Alexander, Lee Braden, and Brenda Danoka for their service to the PFP board. We really appreciate all your work. There's their beautiful faces that are right there. And we also want to acknowledge, next slide, our outgoing board member, Greg.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. Greg O'Neill, Yorgi Gertie. I had to double check what the O meant. I didn't want to. I thought it was Oliver. I'm sorry. But I want to really acknowledge that he's been on the board for 6 years, and the work that he's done as serving as the group's treasurer, as well as leading the Great Wolf Lodge trips over the past few years. And Greg and I have been friends for years, and so it is sad to see him go. But Greg, honestly, you have given so much to the board, and we really appreciate everything that you have given, your time, your energy, finances, service, all of that. And seeing you and your family, beautiful faces, and seeing the kids grow up with our kids over time, and also, as an inspiration for, and as a Black gay man, seeing another Black gay man holding that role is just really important to me as well. So just really want to say thank you for everything and the services that you provided to us. So, virtual round of applause. You may not be able to hear it because we're on muted, but Greg, if you'd like to share any words.
You.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm sorry to just butt in like that, but PFP has been a big part of our family for a long time. I remember us going to the movie theater with the kids and having my kids see people that other families that look like us. And I think it's really important. I think the organization has done so many good things for people. And it's nice to see young, bright people coming in on the board, and people like me who's old and stubborn need to move out the way so that PFP can continue to be successful. And of course, I'll always be there. We will always be members, both physically, spiritually, and financially. So we'll definitely still be a part of PFP. And I really appreciate y'all's support. And I really appreciate y'all's support earlier this year or last year with the death of my dad and everything like that. PFP was there, and I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Greg. We did actually send you this award. Do you have it right there next to you? Can you show us?
Yeah, I do have it. Well, I do have it, but it's downstairs. I've been moving room to room because of the kids. We're getting ready to do a drive-by birthday party, so I'm at the leave in a second. So they're really excited. But I have a picture, and I want to post it to the Facebook chat, so I do have it. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you. I know it's weird to get somebody an award and just mail it to them and not be able to actually present it to them in person, but so thank you for understanding on that point.
Thank you, Greg. And Stephanie, everything's weird right now. So we're just kind of rolling with
I know, but just acknowledging it's weird.
But with that said, when one door, I don't want to say close, one door, because our foot is always in the door and Greg will be a part of our world. But I also want to say who our current board makeup is right now, as well as give our new board members an opportunity to introduce themselves. So the board as it currently stands, it is myself as the chair, Zia Axelrod as the vice chair, Ruby Augustus will be staying on as well as secretary. Gina has graciously moved up to the role of our treasurer. We have Micah Thomas, who will be our chair of education and advocacy committee. We have Lori, I apologize for doing get your name right, Keselowitz, who is our chair of event planning and planning committee. We have Katie, again, excuse me, Katie, I should know this, in charge of our fundraising chair, and Naomi Washington, one of our new one of our new board members, which I'll give an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, will be taking over as our membership committee chairs. Our members at large will be Kristen. Again, I apologize. This is the thing we don't meet as many people in person. Bagliari, who will be member at large, Shelley Brascom, Tiffany Bird, Hunter McCorkle, Sebastian Miller, Rebecca Levin-Nyack, Adam Potowitz Thomas, and Scott Scotland. So happy to have you all a part of the board. And with that said, I want to give a moment for Naomi, Scott, as well as Kristen to introduce yourself. So start with you, Naomi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Naomi Washington Leapart. I use she, her pronouns. I'm delighted to, after several years of supporting PFP voluntarily, to be now a board member, working with this awesome group to just continue the wonderful work that the organization has done. As Tareem said, I am also stepping into the role of membership chair, so excited to invite more people to make that investment and commitment to the organization. I don't know what else I should say. I work in my 9-to-5 life at City Hall, theoretically at City Hall, as the director for faith-based and interfaith affairs in the mayor's office. And I also teach in the theology and religious studies department at Villanova University. So I am really just personally interested in deepening our commitment to racial justice and involving and engaging more families of color in the organization. And I'm also, I'm a minister by vocation and call. So I'm interested in how queer families deepen spirituality, whatever that means for them, in ways that are inclusive and life-giving. So thank you so much.
Tareem, you still there?
Oh,
Oh,
thank you, Naomi. Kristen,
sorry.
sorry, my connection popped out for a second. Kristen, sorry.
Hi, my name is Kristen McLeary. Today I'm using the pronoun they. I live in West Philadelphia with my partner. We're in our 10th year together and our almost 14-year-old twin cats. I work as a psychotherapist, social worker in a community mental health agency with clients who are LGBTQ or who live with HIV. I also work in elementary schools with kindergarten through 5th grade children as teacher lead of out of school time programming. And I'm glad to be joining you all.
Welcome, Kristen. Thank you. Scott.
There we go. Okay, my name's Scott. I live in South Philly. I'm a stay-at-home dad to an adorable tornado of an 8-year-old. I'm just looking forward to helping as much as I can in any way I can.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome. So
I'm going to drop the form in the chat for the vote. It seems a little, I mean, it's part of our bylaws that we have an election. And so this is the election and this is our annual meeting. So there are no contested races, but if folks want to click on the link and go vote for folks in the election, that would be awesome. But we're not going to pause the agenda. I think we'll just move on forward to, I think we'll head back to Naomi to talk a little bit about membership and why membership is important, which you gave us a little preview in your intro too, I think.
Thank you, Stephanie. So yes, I am the incoming membership chair. And what I'd like to do is take a moment to invite everyone who's here and everyone who might watch this later to consider renewing membership for 2021. Members are the lifeblood of any organization, and that's true definitely of PFP. We certainly appreciate that our members help to buy in their investment, provide funds for the organization, and our members are also the ones who are committed to fulfilling the mission of PFP to build community for LGBTQ plus parents and families across the spectrum of ages and circumstances and situations, folks who want to be parenting, folks who are families and not parenting yet, not parenting at all. So our members really help us as an organization provide support to our families through advocacy, through education, through family-centered events, many of which you've heard about today. So we look forward to, in 2021, continuing the work that we did last year. While we have to virtually, and then as soon as it's safe to do so, we will resume our in-person stuff. So I just want to invite you to consider renewing your membership for 2021. You can, is the link in the chat already? Yes, the link is in the chat. So you can click that to renew your membership or join if you haven't yet become a member. Now, the cost for membership is whatever you can invest, whatever you can afford. Every donation is valued by this organization and they all add up to help us do what we do. If you can give monthly or annually, that helps us, particularly Stephanie and our treasurer, to be able to plan and predict what we might be able to do over the long term. So we ask that you consider making a regular contribution to PFP. If you want to join the membership committee to help to cultivate and nurture our members, please do drop your email address in the chat if you'd like, or you can privately chat me if you'd like, and I will be sure to engage you and work with you to expand our membership in 2021. I'll also put my email address, if that's okay, in the chat. So if you want to think about it some and then email me later, certainly do that. So thank you so much for attending to that. We appreciate your support and your membership up to this point, and we look forward to that continuing.
Great. Thank you so much, Naomi. I'm going to stop the recording now. So thanks everybody, but don't go away.